My husband told me he was helping our son's 19-year-old girlfriend with her college tuition. I thought he was being generous until I saw the Venmo transaction history. He wasn't paying for textbooks. He was paying for a hotel room on the other side of town.
The Quiet Case Files.
The house was silent. It was that heavy, muffled silence you only get in the suburbs after midnight. The only light came from the screen of the family iPad resting on the granite countertop. My husband was upstairs, sound asleep. Or so I thought. He had complained about being exhausted after a long day of showing properties. He was a realtor, a successful one, and his schedule was always erratic. Open houses on weekends, client dinners on Tuesdays. I never questioned it. Why would I? We had 25 years of history. We had a son, Leo, who was a sophomore in college. We had a life that ran like a well-oiled machine. I was sitting there with a glass of lukewarm water, categorizing our monthly expenses for tax season. It was mundane work. Tedious. I swiped between spreadsheets and bank apps, my eyes heavy. Then, the screen shifted. A small progress bar appeared at the bottom. Updating library. I realized the iPad was syncing with the cloud. Specifically, it was pulling the latest data from my husband's iPhone. We shared an account for apps and music, but usually, our photo streams were separate. A software update must have reverted the settings. I watched as the little thumbnails populated the screen, one by one. At first, it was exactly what I expected. Photos of front porches, master bathrooms, and inspection reports. But then, the algorithm served up something different. A photo of a half-eaten croissant and 2 coffee cups on a rustic wooden table. It seemed innocent enough, just a lunch break. But then I looked at the location stamp at the top of the screen. The location tag read the Beanery, University District. That was 40 miles north of where he said he was. I stared at the image. It was just coffee. But the date was last Tuesday. Last Tuesday, my husband told me he was stuck in a negotiation for a colonial on the south side. He came home late, complaining about a difficult seller. But according to this digital footprint, he had been sitting in a college town cafe, 40 minutes in the opposite direction. My stomach turned over. My initial instinct was to make excuses for him. Maybe he went to visit Leo? Maybe he was surprising our son with lunch? Mark was always trying to be the cool dad, the mentor. But if he had seen Leo, why lie about it? Why come home and invent a story about a difficult seller? I sat there in the dark kitchen, the refrigerator humming behind me, trying to make the pieces fit. It felt like I was holding a puzzle piece from a completely different box. I reached up my hand to close the app, to tell myself I was being paranoid. But before my finger touched the glass, a gray banner notification slid down from the top of the screen. Because the devices were synced, I was seeing exactly what was hitting his phone upstairs on the nightstand. The sender's name was Jessica. That was Leo's girlfriend. Sweet, 19-year-old Jessica. The message was short, but it made the air leave my lungs. It read, "Leo is studying tonight. Can you come over?" I sat there until 3 in the morning. The silence of the house felt different now. It wasn't peaceful, it was suffocating. I didn't go upstairs to confront him. I didn't scream. I went cold. A strange, clinical detachment took over. If he was going to destroy our lives, I needed to know exactly how much it cost. I unlocked his iPad again and opened the banking portal. He was careful, but not careful enough. He relied on the fact that I trusted him. That was his security system. I navigated to the credit card statements. There was the joint account, which looked normal. Groceries, utilities, insurance. But then I saw the tab for his business card. He always told me this was strictly for staging costs and client entertainment. I clicked on the recent cycle. The charges were not for furniture rental or print advertising. There was a charge for a boutique jewelry store in the city. $1,200. There was a recurring charge for a luxury rideshare service. And then, the Venmo transfers. I pulled up the transaction history. He had labeled them things like textbooks or school supplies, but the amounts were staggering. $400 on a Tuesday. $600 on a Friday. I cross-referenced the dates with our family calendar. The pattern was undeniable. Every significant transfer happened on a night when Leo had a late lab or an exam. My husband wasn't just cheating, he was waiting for our son to be busy so he could steal his girlfriend. I looked at the screen, and the numbers blurred into a gray haze. It wasn't just about the money. It was the specific cruelty of it. He was funding a lifestyle for a 19-year-old girl using funds that should have been for our retirement, or for Leo's actual future. And worse, he was buying her silence, or her affection, right under our son's nose. I felt physically ill. I had to walk over to the sink and splash cold water on my face just to breathe. I looked at the ceiling, thinking of him sleeping upstairs. He looked so peaceful. So innocent. He had no idea that his entire double life was glowing on a screen 2 floors down. I had the evidence. I had the dates, the locations, the money trail. I could wake him up right now and end it. But then I thought of Leo. My sweet, trusting boy who thought his father was a hero. Who thought his girlfriend was the love of his life. If I pulled this thread, the whole sweater would unravel. It wouldn't just be a divorce. It would be a trauma that would define the rest of my son's life. His father and his girlfriend. The 2 people he trusted most in the world. How do you tell your child that? Do you protect him by lying? Or do you destroy him with the truth? I realized then that I was holding a grenade. And I had to decide who was going to take the blast. I didn't make breakfast that morning. I didn't leave a note. By 8 o'clock, I was sitting in a leather chair in a high-rise office downtown. The lawyer's name was Eleanor, and she had eyes that had seen everything. I laid it all out. The iPad, the photos, the bank statements. I expected her to be shocked, but she just nodded. She told me that before I shed a single tear, I needed to secure my future. Emotions could wait. Assets could not. By noon, I had moved half of our joint savings into a separate account at a different bank. I called the credit card company and reported the business card as compromised, freezing it instantly. When Mark called me an hour later, panicked that his card was declined at a gas station, I didn't flinch. I told him the bank had flagged our accounts for a random audit. I told him it was standard procedure and would take 48 hours to clear. He bought it. Why wouldn't he? He thought I was the dutiful wife, handling the boring administrative details while he played the big shot. He never suspected that the audit was actually a blockade. Eleanor gave me one piece of advice that changed everything. She told me that in our state, adultery wasn't just a moral failing, it was a financial leverage point. If I could prove he was spending marital assets on an affair, and if I could prove the infidelity was the cause of the divorce, it would significantly impact the alimony. But text messages weren't enough. I needed undeniable, physical proof. I hired the private investigator Eleanor recommended. He was expensive, but he was fast. For 3 days, I played the part of the oblivious wife. I asked Mark how his day was. I cooked dinner. I even asked how Leo was doing, watching his face closely for a flicker of guilt. There was nothing. He was a sociopath. He looked me in the eye and told me he was proud of how hard Leo was studying. He said he was going to stop by campus later in the week to drop off some groceries for the kids. I knew exactly what kind of groceries he meant. On Thursday afternoon, my phone buzzed. It was a secure link from the investigator. I was in the grocery store parking lot. I remember the sun was shining, birds were singing. It was a beautiful day to have your heart ripped out. I clicked the link. The photos were high resolution, crystal clear. They weren't at a restaurant. They weren't at a hotel. They were at our lake cabin. The cabin my father had built. The cabin where Leo took his first steps. The photos showed Mark's car parked next to Jessica's beat-up sedan. And then, the money shot. The two of them on the front porch. His hand was on her waist. She was laughing, leaning into him. It wasn't a mentorship. It was a romance. And they were defiling the one place on earth that was sacred to our family. I put the car in gear. I wasn't going home. I was going to the lake. The drive to the lake usually took 2 hours. I made it in 90 minutes. My hands were gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. Every mile marker was a countdown. I had a plan, but it was a dangerous one. I wasn't just going to catch them. I needed a witness. I needed the one person who deserved to know the truth, even if it broke him. I needed Leo. I called him when I was 20 minutes out. I kept my voice steady, though my heart was hammering against my ribs. Leo, I said. I need you to meet me at the cabin right now. It's an emergency. He panicked, asking if Dad was okay, if the roof had collapsed. Just get there, I told him. I'm close, but you're closer. Please, just go. He agreed. He was a good son. He dropped everything. I timed it perfectly. Or maybe fate did. As I turned onto the gravel driveway, I saw Leo's car already there. The engine was off. The driver's door was open. Silence hung over the property, heavy and thick like the humidity before a storm. I parked behind his car and got out. My legs felt like lead. I walked up the wooden steps to the porch. The front door was wide open. I could hear voices inside. Not shouting. Just a low, confused murmur. And then, a sound I will never forget. The sound of my son's voice cracking. I walked into the living room. The afternoon sun was streaming through the dusty windows, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air. Leo was standing in the center of the room, his backpack still slung over one shoulder. He was staring at the couch. On the couch sat his father and his girlfriend. They were fully clothed, but the intimacy of the scene was undeniable. They had been sitting close, too close, and had clearly just jumped apart. A bottle of wine, my favorite wine, was open on the coffee table. 2 glasses. Mark stood up, his face draining of color. He looked from Leo to me, and for the first time in 25 years, I saw fear in his eyes. Jessica was curled into the corner of the sofa, pulling a throw blanket around her like a shield, refusing to look at anyone. The silence stretched until it snapped. Mark cleared his throat. He put on his realtor smile, the one he used when a basement had mold. He took a step toward Leo, hands raised, palms out. Leo, son, he started, his voice trembling slightly. It's not what it looks like. I was counseling her. She's been having a hard time with her classes, and I was just offering some life advice. Leo didn't move. He didn't blink. He just turned his head slowly and looked at me. His eyes were wide, pleading. He was waiting for his mother to tell him that his father wasn't a monster. He was waiting for me to fix it. But I couldn't fix this. I didn't scream. I didn't throw the vase on the table. I walked over to the fireplace and picked up the poker, just to have something solid in my hand, something to ground me. Mark flinched, but I just leaned it against the wall. I looked at my husband. Counseling? I asked, my voice terrifyingly calm. Is that what you call it? Is that why you froze the joint account to pay for her tuition? Mark turned on me, his face twisting into a snarl. You're crazy, he spat. You're imagining things. Jessica, tell him. Tell him I was just helping you with your finance homework. He was doubling down. He was going to gaslight our son right in front of us. He looked at that 19-year-old girl with a desperate intensity, silently commanding her to lie. Jessica looked up, tears streaming down her face, but she said nothing. She just shook her head. That was the crack in the dam. I reached into my purse and pulled out the manila envelope Eleanor had prepared. I didn't hand it to Mark. I walked over to Leo. I'm sorry, I whispered. I am so sorry. I placed the file in his hands. Leo opened it. He looked at the first page. The Venmo transactions. The hotel charges. The text logs. He flipped the page. The photos from the investigator. The kiss on the porch. He read for a long time. The only sound in the room was the rustling of paper. Then, he dropped the folder on the floor. It hit the wood with a slap. He looked at his father, his face pale green. He turned around, walked out the front door, and we heard the sound of him retching in the dry grass. Then, his car door slammed, and he peeled out of the driveway. He didn't say a single word to his father. The silence that followed Leo's departure was heavy, final. Mark stared at the open door, his jaw working. Then he turned to me. The fear was gone, replaced by a cold, hard rage. You did this, he hissed. He took a step toward me. You couldn't just leave it alone. You had to blow it up. You ruined this family. Are you happy now? You've turned my son against me. He was trying to make himself the victim. It was classic Mark. He wanted me to feel guilty, to apologize for catching him. But the woman who would have apologized was gone. She died the moment she saw that notification on the iPad. I stood my ground. I felt taller, stronger than I had in years. I didn't ruin this family, Mark, I said, my voice steady and cold as steel. You did. You made the choice every time you transferred money. Every time you drove north. Every time you lied. I pulled my phone out of my pocket and held it up. And by the way, I added, watching his eyes narrow. Don't bother coming back to the house tonight. Or ever. I've already had the locksmith change the tumblers. Your clothes are in garbage bags on the front lawn. It's going to rain tonight. I suggest you hurry. The divorce took 6 months. It was brutal, messy, and expensive, but Eleanor was worth every penny. We had the evidence, the financial trail, and the moral high ground. Mark tried to fight for the house, but the judge wasn't having it. In our small community, reputation is everything. When the details of his mentorship program got out, and they did get out, his real estate listings dried up. Sellers didn't want a man like that in their homes. He ended up moving into a furnished short-term rental on the edge of town, a sad little apartment with beige walls and no view. Leo took it the hardest. He broke up with Jessica immediately, obviously. He dropped out of that semester, unable to focus. But he came home. He spent the summer painting the house with me, working in the garden, just being quiet. We didn't talk about it much. We didn't have to. We just existed in the same space, healing. He started therapy in the fall, and slowly, the light came back into his eyes. He realized that his father's failure was not his own. He learned that trust is something you build, not something you're owed. It's been a year now. The house is quiet again, but it's a good quiet. A peaceful quiet. I kept the house. I kept the majority of the retirement fund. I even kept the cabin, though I haven't been back there yet. Maybe next summer. Leo is back in school, doing well. He comes over for dinner every Sunday. We laugh now. Real laughter, not the polite chuckles we used to perform for Mark. I'm sitting in my kitchen, drinking coffee from my favorite mug. The sun is coming through the window, hitting the granite countertop where that iPad used to sit. The iPad is in a drawer now. I don't need to track anyone. I don't need to investigate anyone. The trash has been taken out. The toxic element has been removed. My life is smaller now, maybe. But it's mine. And for the first time in 25 years, the air in this house is clean.
If you enjoy radio-style stories like this, please consider staying with us. This is QCF.